A civil war among primates is capturing global attention right now. It's taking place in Uganda, and it's happening among the world's largest known community of wild chimpanzees. For decades, the apes were part of a unified group that hunted and mated together, albeit a group that had three smaller regional factions broken up by Western, Central, and Eastern clusters. But then in 2015, a group of researchers noticed a change. According to findings published in the journal Science, instead of mingling, they saw the Western chimpanzees run away from the Central group, which chased after them. 2 years later, Western chimps attacked the alpha of the Central faction, and the groups now live in totally separate territories. At least 28 chimps, including 19 infants, have reportedly been killed since the start of this conflict.
So in their study, the researchers concluded with this: it's tempting to attribute polarization and war that occur in humans today to ethnic, religious, or political divisions. Focusing entirely on these cultural factors, however, overlooks social processes that shape human behavior. Processes also present in one of our closest animal relatives. In some cases, it may be in the small daily acts of reconciliation and reunion between individuals that we find opportunities for peace. Joining us now is the communications director for Zoo Miami, Ron Magill. Ron, always good to talk to you. So I will say I sort of feel like I need to defer to Boris on this, because this is Boris's story of the day.
I brought it up in the morning meeting, Ron.
And it is
so
fascinating.
Good story. It's a great story.
It's a
fascinating story. No,
so
absolutely.
Did it surprise you at all?
What you're looking, it really didn't surprise me, because remember, chimpanzees are the closest living relatives we have. They're over 98% genetically identical to human beings. And what you're seeing in these chimpanzees is basically a reflection of what you see in human culture. You're seeing different factions. As change takes place in the leadership, the culture itself changes. And you have to understand, chimpanzees are very territorial. And though they were willing to share territories for a while, as some of the leadership started to die and be replaced with other leadership, all of a sudden you started having conflicts. I've worked with chimpanzees quite a bit, and I can tell you they're as individual as people. You have chimpanzees that are very low-key, very compromising. You have chimpanzees that are very aggressive. You have chimpanzees that are very nervous. So just like people, depending on who takes over the leadership. One of the things I'll point out is that on all the chimpanzees that have been killed, I think it was like 19 were infants, but the rest of the adults were all males. And that tells you something right there, and that they're going after males because they want to take charge. Okay, the females are being left out of that killing spree because it's the males that are going at each other to take over territory, to take over the culture.
The researchers indicated that everything changed from one day to the next. Did that surprise you? Because I think people generally, when they see chimps on TV or in movies, they imagine that they have a certain temperament. You're saying that they're more like humans. Some are more aggressive than others. How would you describe them in terms of their aggressiveness?
They can be incredibly aggressive. Dr. Jane Goodall did historic research on these animals for so many years. People looked at them like, oh, they're just the pleasant vegetarian eaters, and they're all, happy-go-lucky. It's the kumbaya society. And then she pointed out very well that not only are they not always pleasant, they are also murderous. They will eat other primates. They'll kill other primates and eat other primates. They're hunters in that way, incredibly aggressive, many times more aggressive than, let's say, gorillas. Gorillas are truly the gentle giant. They're true vegetarians. And actually, chimpanzees are more closely related to us than they are to gorillas. So people don't understand that chimpanzees have very individual personalities, and changing overnight could just be a changing of the guard, the authority. You notice all those infants were killed. The reason why those infants are killed, it happens, for instance, in lion prides. If a male lion comes over and takes over the pride, he will instinctively kill every cub in that pride that's not his, for a couple of reasons. First of all, they want to make sure that their own genes are going to the next generation, but also by killing the cubs, the females start to cycle again, and he can breed them. So that's the same thing's happening with chimps. You're killing the infants, she stops lactating, she can be bred again, and you're eliminating that threat from a previous generation.
So it seemed to happen so quickly. There didn't seem to be outside factors, right? No food shortages, no obvious resource that they were fighting over. But there have to be, given how closely aligned we are to chimpanzees, as you said, more than 98%, right? Genetic material. What are the lessons for us as humans that, we don't end up like these chimps? I mean, in many cases, it feels like we have, but still.
Yes. Well, listen, we need to learn to do better. We're supposedly smarter. We need to learn to do better. Look at the bonobos, the pygmy chimpanzee. It's the least violent society of primates in the world. The pygmy chimpanzee, yet so closely related to the normal chimpanzee. What's the difference there? I mean, I don't want to get into a lot of adult information, but pygmy chimpanzees, they don't have war. They settle everything with sex. That settles every conflict they have. It's unbelievable. They bring themselves presents. Everything is kind of, to acquiesce, to compromise. But we need to learn by looking at these chimpanzees that at the end of the day, nobody really wins. You lose infants, you lose territory, you've got stress, incredible stress. Chimpanzees are now, fleeing to other areas. At the end of the day, it sounds so cliche-ish, but we all share the same planet, and it's much better to get along.
Yeah, maybe violence is not the answer. Perhaps that's the message for all of us.
An incredible story. Ron,
Exactly.
Just before we go, I wanted to say I've been watching you since I was a kid on Sábado Gigante on Saturday nights, through the Lebitard show and now on CNN. Congratulations on your retirement, which is next month. Thank you for bringing us closer to our neighbors on this wild planet. We appreciate it very much, Ron.
Congrats, Ron.
I appreciate you guys, and I always appreciate the platform that you give me to help and educate the people. And I'm leaving the county, but I'm still going to be at the zoo, so I'll still be talking to you guys.
We'll still call you. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, for more of the advice on chimps. Thanks so much, Ron.